Today, we'll be solving LeetCode 130, surrounded regions. We define a function called solve that takes in the board. Since we are updating the board in place, we don't need to return anything. The first thing we do is check if the board is empty by saying if not board or not board at 0, then return immediately. Next, we get the number of rows by saying rows equals length of board, and the number of columns by saying cols equals length of board at 0. We then define a helper function called DFS that takes in row R and column C. The very first thing inside DFS is a boundary check. We say if R is less than 0 or C is less than 0 or R is greater than or equal to rows or C is greater than or equal to cols or board at R and C is not equal to O, then return immediately. This means we are either out of bounds or we are not on an O cell, so there is nothing to process. If we are on a valid O cell, we mark it as safe by temporarily changing it to the letter S. This way, we know this O should not be flipped later. After marking, we call DFS on all four directions. We say DFS of R plus 1 and C to go down, DFS of R minus 1 and C to go up, DFS of R and C plus 1 to go right, and DFS of R and C minus 1 to go left. This explores the entire connected region of O's. Now, we need to start marking safe regions from the border. So we loop through every cell in the first row and the last row, and if board at 0, C is O, or board at rows minus 1, C is O, we call DFS on those cells. Then, we loop through every cell in the first column and the last column, and if board at R, 0 is O, or board at R, cols minus 1 is O, we call DFS on those cells. This way, all O's that touch the border or connect to the border get marked as safe. Once this is done, we scan the entire board again. For each cell, if board at R and C is equal to O, we know it is not safe, so we flip it into an X. If board at R and C is equal to S, we flip it back into O, since we marked it safe earlier.